the sun in the palm of my hand.
If I were a rich man, all day long I'd blitty bitty bum. If I were a wealthy man. Oi!
G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited for this video because it's about my favorite champion in the game, Dr. Octopus. This guy's been in the game for a very long time now, about 7 years. He's never really been a meta champion. This video is going to be about Battlegrounds, but even before Battlegrounds came out, you know, during Alliance, when Alliance War was the main thing and other solo content, he never really took off as an amazing attacker. And I can sort of understand why, but there's also a part of me that really doesn't understand why, because he's very, very strong when played well. And so, well, I'll talk about the reason. So firstly, like, a lot of people don't think his damage is good, and that's a complete myth, because I'm going to show you this guy taking 7-star rank 3 champions in Battlegrounds, and not just any 7-star rank 3s. Rank 3 is like Bullseye in like 45 seconds. Which, if you think his damage is bad after saying that, then I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, his damage is fine. That's never been an issue. I think the main thing about Dr. Octopus is that his kit is quite complicated and is quite confronting when trying to interpret it, because there's a lot going on. And so I will start this video by explaining his abilities before I show you guys how he works in Battlegrounds, so that you guys get a clearer understanding of what's going on. Alright, so we're on Artmate here, so I'm going to go over his abilities. So the main thing about Dr. Octopus's kit, like 90% of his kit is based around research. So the only thing I can sort of compare research to is sort of like Kashala's blessings or something, but it's very different, because Kashala's blessings, they activate when performing a certain action, and you just get a blessing. But research is more of a scaling category, and as each category has a scaling effect, and then it triggers another effect when it maxes out. So I'll talk about the research, because that's the main part of that's the core of his kit. So biology is the simplest one to understand. You get biology, and I'll show you a picture. It's this green icon, the biology one. So you get biology just by landing hits. So every time you hit the opponent, whether it's a heavy attack or a basic attack or a special attack, or even a striker, I think, that gives you biology research. You can also get biology research by getting hit, but I don't recommend doing that. and yeah, so by the way, all the research scales from 0 to 100. And each research category has a scaling effect. And so the scaling effect for biology is Fury. So you can actually get up to double Fury, double your attack rating, because it's 3580 here, and his base attack is 3580. It's for 6-star rank 5, unascended. But you can get double attack when you have max biology. And max biology is very easy to maintain, because you can just get it by just landing hits. So yeah, so it scales up to 100, and you get up to 100% more attacks. It's really good for biology. Next category is chemistry. So this just builds on by blocking. So just you blocking, not the opponent blocking. You get 10 chemistry. Remember, it scales from 0 to 100. You get 10 chemistry when you block, and you get 40 chemistry when you parry. So obviously parrying gives a lot more. And the scaling effect for chemistry here is block proficiency. So this is actually not a major increase, and I'll show you. So this is his base block proficiency here, 3832, which is 63%. And when you have max chemistry, that's an extra 2250. Now, because block proficiency scales with diminishing returns, it's quite a lot less, but that still gives you about 73% block proficiency, which is about 6,000 block proficiency. And to put that into context, if we look at if we look at 6-star rank 5s, or maybe, oh, do they do? No, they don't. So 6-star ascendants. So 6,000. That you can see block proficiency. That's very high. That's more than Iron Man Infinity War, more than Cosmic Ghost Rider, right? More than a lot of these very good champions, right? It puts him what, 8th overall. Only some really strong block champs like Red Skull and Captain America and Shuri have higher block proficiency. This guy is, and like biology, max chemistry is very easy to maintain, because you can just do it by parrying. So yeah, his block proficiency is very, very good and very underrated. So yeah, that's chemistry. And then the last category is physics. So physics is the main category, the most important one. Now this is built on the opponent gaining power. So and again, this scales from 0 to 100, and that scale from 0 to 100 actually is equivalent to exactly 1 bar of power for the opponent. No matter about combat power rate or anything, it's actually just pure power. It scales to 1 bar of power. So let's say you start the fight, and the opponent has 0 bars of power, you have 0 physics research. As soon as they hit 1 bar of power, you'll have 100 physics research. That's how it works. Now, the scaling effect of physics is definitely the least useful because it reduces the opponent's special attack damage by up to 50%, which is not too important because in a perfect Doc Ock fight, you're actually not going to be baiting any special attacks. So it can sort of, I guess, maybe help him on defense, but he's not really a defender at all. So yeah, that's the physics research. Now that you understand how each research works and how you gain research in each category, and I've shown you icons, you know what they look like. So biology is the heart icon, chemistry is the beaker icon, and physics is that nuclear icon. Now the first category to reach 100 triggers a breakthrough. When a category reaches 100, it triggers a breakthrough as long as there isn't one already active. So you can only trigger one at a time, or you can trigger more than one at a time, but I'll explain how later. And the first one to reach 100 will trigger a breakthrough. And before I talk about the breakthroughs, I'll firstly cover his SIG ability. So obviously the gameplay you'll see today is with an awakened Dr. Octopus, and it does need to be awakened to do what he does really well. Mostly for this. So Dr. Octopus his SIG ability lets him start with each of his research categories at 60. So he can start each fight with 60 research in all categories. So that means he's going to start with 60 physics, 60 chemistry, and 60 biology at the start of every fight. And so that means you're able to power lock the opponent before they get to a bar of power, or you can heal block the opponent absolutely straight away. So for example, let's say you start the fight and you start with a parry. You have 60 chemistry. Once you parry, that's 40 more chemistry. That will reach 100. Because you've reached 100 chemistry and you haven't triggered any other research categories at 100, you're going to trigger the breakthrough for chemistry, and that's a heal block debuff. So you do that, you parry at the start, you get a heal block debuff. That's going to last for 5 seconds. That's not very long, but I'm going to explain how you can remove that and still keep your research and also extend it to make it last longer. Now, let's say you start the fight with an intercept and give the opponent power. Now, by hitting the opponent, you're going to be giving them power, and you're also going to be landing hits. So by hitting the opponent, you're going to build physics and biology at the same time. Now, a lot of the time, physics and biology, they'll hit 100 at the same time. The physics breakthrough will always take preference. It'll always trigger the physics breakthrough before the biology one if you trigger 100 at the same time. So you're always going to apply the power lock before the armor up buff, which is good because you'd rather have the power lock. And so if you start the fight and you end up getting hit, you will trigger the armor up buff first. And that's why, if you notice, when you fight Doc Ock, you normally see him getting an armor up buff because you're triggering the biology breakthrough by hitting him. So that's how those breakthroughs work. Now, when he's awakened, these effects have they sort of have different effects. So Doc Ock is able to power drain the opponent when they're power locked, and also steal some of that power back. So that's why when you see Dr. Octopus fights, when the opponent is power locked, their power meter is constantly going back and forth. And that's because Doc Ock is calculating how much power they are going to get, and he's going to drain it straight away and then steal up to 15% of that at max sig. And he does the same thing for the chemistry. When they have the heal block, they try to heal. He does direct damage equal to 100% of that health gained, and he life steals a quarter of that. And the biology one is not as useful, but it does actually get some nice armor penetration when active, which is cool. So I'll show you some. So I've shown you. I've put some videos on the screen to show you how those sort of breakthroughs work. And so that's the core of his kit. That's what you want to. That's the core of his kit. So now we'll talk about how to use that in a rotation. So the important thing to note the next is the heavy attack. So the heavy attack will remove all currently active breakthroughs, dealing 3580 damage per second. Sorry, per breakthrough. So that's his base attack. And of course, if you have max biology, you have double attack, so that will deal double damage. So the heavy attack is really important because it will let you remove all breakthroughs. Let's say you start the fight with a parry, you get a heal block. If you parry heavy, you remove the heal block, but what is important to note is you still keep all your research. And so if you trigger a breakthrough you don't like, you can heavy attack to remove it and then try and get the breakthrough that you wanted in the first place. And the other reason you want a heavy is if you want to still keep your research and try and keep applying the same breakthrough repeatedly, like you want to do with the power lock. Now, in a Battlegrounds rotation, the first special attack you're going to be throwing is the special attack 2. because what that's going to do is it's going to trigger the breakthrough effect of all research categories currently at 100, right? So this is how he's able to trigger heal block and power lock at the same time. And in a good Doc Ock fight, you're going to be having physics, chemistry, and biology maxed out, research maxed out pretty much the whole time by parrying and just hitting. It's very simple to keep all of these categories at 100. And so the special attack 2, that will trigger the breakthrough effect of all research categories currently at 100. But the more important reason why you want to have them at 100 is because it'll reset the duration of all breakthroughs to 3.5 seconds per category currently at 100. Which means if you have 3 categories at 100, which you should, your breakthroughs will last for 10.5 seconds instead of 5 seconds. So right away, you're just doubling the duration of your breakthroughs and makes it so much easier to keep them up indefinitely. Now, speaking of keeping them up indefinitely, after the special attack 2, you can start throwing special 1s, because this will reset the duration of any currently active breakthrough effect, right? And it'll reset it at that same 10.5 second duration. If no breakthrough is active, it will trigger the breakthrough of what category is currently the highest. That's not really an important ability to worry about. You should be always throwing the special attack 1 when you have breakthroughs active. Now, in a meta like we've had recently with Rich Get Richer, it does make it easier for Dr. Octopus to cycle special 2s, but this will work in other metas. Because he's able to power steal quite a lot of power, he's able to get a lot of special attack 2s off. But if you can't get back to a special 2 again, because by the way, when you throw a special attack 2, when you throw 2 of them, it'll trigger more breakthroughs, because you can actually get 3 of each breakthroughs. Does it say? Maybe it doesn't say here. It doesn't actually say here, but you can actually get 3 breakthroughs of each category. So you can actually get 3 power locks, you can get 3 heal blocks, and 3 armor ups. Now, they don't stack. Sorry, the power locks, they don't stack. Like, you can't steal more power just because you have more power locks. But it does mean you have more breakthroughs. And so when you do heavy detonate at the end, which is how you finish a lot of Doc Ock fights, it deals more damage per breakthrough, right? Because you can get up to 9 breakthroughs. So times this by 2 is about 7,000. Times that by 9 is about 63,000. That's just at base attack. It's going to do a lot more damage than that with 9 breakthroughs. So that's like the bread and butter of Doc Ock's kit. And I'll show you guys some fights now that I've finished rambling. Okay, so I thought I'd start off with a very simple example of how to play Doc Ock in a typical match. So this is a 300,000 health Chavez, rank 3. This is in the armor up meta actually, not the previous Rich Get Richer or the one before that. And so I like starting fights with a light attack, and that's because we can start triggering our physics research straight away instead of our chemistry research, and that lets us apply the power lock. Now, a heavy attack to remove the power lock, but it keeps all our research. You can see we're still at 100. And we do a stand-up intercept to keep hitting her, because as soon as we hit her, even though all our research is at 100, it'll always prioritize physics research over anything else. Now we throw the special 2 to trigger all the breakthroughs at 100, and we will use the special 1 to refresh all of the breakthroughs. Now I'll show you guys the Green Goblin Relic after this fight, because that's also a very important part of his rotation here. Now, because of all the power we're stealing, because remember we're stealing about 15% of the power that Chavez would be getting, we're able to get to special 2 a lot quicker than most champions. Now, our breakthroughs are about to fall off, but we can get back to a special 1, throw that will re-trigger all of those, reset all the duration of all those breakthroughs, and we're at 8 breakthroughs. The heavy attack does a lot of damage there to finish off the fight. So yeah, that was a rank 3 Chavez in a meta dominated by armor up buffs, which normally reduce your damage by a lot. He's able to take her down in less than a minute without her throwing a single special attack. I can't think of any other champion in the game that can do it with that much effort as Dr. Octopus. Now, the one thing I'll cover here that I haven't talked about yet is the Green Goblin Relic. So this rune here that gives him decrease the cost of special attacks, that's nice, but it's not really too important, because it only lasts for 5 seconds, the power efficiency. What's important is this. So this rune, yes. So attacks that power drain the opponent feel the spirit gauge by 2%, so that's good, because Doc Ock's all attacks power drain the opponent when they're power locked. And the one that the benefits only Dr. Octopus here is that physics research generates 20% faster. So that means you're able to get to that power lock even quicker than normal, because when you heavy detonate, you remove the power lock, and then when you intercept with a medium attack, you still give them a tiny little bit of power. And so if you notice in future fights that I'll show you, whenever we remove the power lock with a heavy attack and then reapply the power lock, they will get a tiny bit more power. But because of this rune, it means it's going to be less power than they would otherwise normally get. So it means we can, cycle more heavy attacks without them getting to a special one. Because if you do constantly use the heavy to remove and keep reapplying the heavy attack, they will get reapplying with the medium. They will get a tiny bit more power, and so sometimes they can get to the special one. But just make sure that they don't, because physics research generates 20% faster here. Alright, so the next fight we have here is a rank 3 Longshot. Now this one is actually in the Rich Get Richer meta. Now I did mess up in this fight. I think I did get hit later. But it's the same deal with Chavez, because Longshot, obviously his special attacks are very annoying, especially when he has 5 out of 5 good karma and pure of heart. But by not giving him any power and stealing all of that power that he would be getting, you can see he's actually benefiting from Rich Get Richer here, but we're stealing all of that power, not all of that power, but part of that power he would get. So even though he is, if you notice, when he was getting Rich Get Richer, we're actually stealing some of that power, so we were actually getting power passively, and he wasn't. And so it makes it much easier for us to cycle special 2s with the Rich Get Richer, whether he has it or whether we have it. It doesn't make it easier to use Doc Ock in this than normal in Battlegrounds, but it's not needed. Like, he doesn't need this meta to be good. He can do it in most metas. Now, I just threw the heavy attack a few too many times. I got a bit excited, and we did take a full combo to the face. But apart from that, it was a pretty clean fight, I thought. Taking this rank 3 Longshot down, it would have been in about a minute, similar to the Chavez. Now, fights that Doc Ock really excels in are fights where the opponent is getting power passively. So champions like Mangog, Hyperion, Havok, these champions that gain power passively work so well for Dr. Octopus because he just constantly triggers physics research. You can see the nuclear icon is constantly trying to trigger because they're constantly trying to get power. And so that's just going to stay locked at 100 the whole fight, unless that power lock wears off. Because once the power lock wears off, if it does, all the research goes away. It'll reset to 0. So obviously we don't want that to happen. Now, unfortunately, with Rich Get Richer and Archaeos, sometimes we do actually get an armor break on us, and that counts as a breakthrough expiring because it thinks our armor up is expired. So unfortunately, if we do trigger an armor break on us, that does count as a breakthrough expiring. So hopefully we don't have that in this fight. But once again, it's a Mangog. It's another troublesome Mystic who can throw a lot of special attacks, but he didn't. Not a single one. Yeah, so speaking of champs with passive power gain, I already mentioned him, but Havok. Dr. Octopus is arguably the best Havok counter in the game. One of the safest. Because when you power drain Havok, he loses all of his plasma charges. And when you have that power lock with an awakened Dr. Octopus, you're constantly power draining the opponent. Now, we start off with a parry here. And we didn't want the heal block, so we heavy attack to remove the power lock, the heal block, but we still keep all our research. And then because he's gaining power passively, the power lock is triggered automatically. Because it doesn't build on us giving him power, it doesn't build on us hitting him, that's biology. It builds on the opponent gaining power. So when they try to get power, even passively, that power lock applies. And so because he's gaining power passively, we're stealing 15% of that, and it makes it so much easier to cycle our specials and keep applying those breakthroughs and just nuking him. Alright, next up we have a Bishop. Again, another champion that you don't want throwing special attacks. I mean, you can play around it, if you push to special 2 and you're good at dexing that, but obviously the special 1 is very, very, very annoying because he applies all those incinerates, and if you don't have an incinerate immune champ, that's a lot of damage, potential damage. But Dr. Octopus can just easily prevent him from ever getting to a bar of power. And you can see, because we've thrown a few heavy attacks, he's very close to triggering that first bar of power. And he actually triggered unblockable here. But we intercept with a striker, and we throw a special 1. We actually have crush on us as well. And special 1 will obviously refresh those breakthroughs and remove the unblockable. I made a mistake there with the stand-up intercept, so we actually lost a bit of health. But apart from that, this has been a really clean fight with Bishop, against Bishop. He hasn't thrown a single special attack. And we did, apart from the missed intercept after that, we managed to get around the unblockable, which Doc Ock can do really well. Now this one is probably my favorite fight, just because it's really just showing off Doc Ock's health steal. So I already talked about Doc Ock's health steal and his sig ability. So you can steal up to, in life steal, 25% of the health that his opponent would get. It's a much stronger life steal than people give it credit for. It's stronger than Scorpion's, and you'll be able to see it really shown off really well here. You can see we threw that special attack at about 85%. We're already up to 95%. And obviously Sinister is going to heal a lot from our critical hits, or try to heal, and we're just going to life steal all of that. So we're already at topped off here with a full yellow bar, even though we missed the intercept at the start of the fight there. And yeah, just similar to all the other fights you've seen, Doc Ock just nukes him, and he even went unblockable here, but it didn't really do much damage, and we're able to last steal most of that damage back, and we're still at a full yellow bar. It's just a crazy matchup for Dr. Octopus against Sinister. So shout out to my buddy Jiacheng. He really inspired me to, revisit Doc Ock, especially in Battlegrounds. This is his fight against a Toad. He also has an ascended Doc Ock. I'll put his link to the video that he made of Doc Ock in Battlegrounds in the description. But yeah, Toad is a very annoying champion if you don't have a good heal controller. It can be a very slow fight. And you can see he actually started the fight with Crush, like one of the worst starts to have with Doc Ock, because you want to be able to parry to build that chemistry research. But he was able to play around it really well by pushing him to a special one. Because sometimes necessary, and he parries here for the heal block. He does have all his reach at 100, so even though he started with the heal block instead of the power lock, he's still able to apply the power lock there with a special 2. And he does, he's getting a few paralytic poisons on him from hitting Toad, but they don't do too much damage. And obviously he's able to, they do even less damage because Doc Ock is able to health steal all of that region that Toad is trying to get. Because if without the heal block here, Toad would be gaining a ridiculous amount of health from his regen. But we're able to stay topped off here with Doc Ock, and he's able to take down Toad in about a minute. Really, really solid fight. And this is his fight against a rank 3 Longshot. So you already saw a Longshot fight from myself earlier, which didn't go too well. This is against a rank 3, so I think mine was against a rank, might have been a rank 3, or might have been a rank 2. But yeah, this is definitely a rank 3. And it's actually against my alliance mate. But yeah, so we start with the power lock, and yeah, because Longshot is actually benefiting from Rich Get Richer here, we're able to steal 15% of the power he would be getting. Throw a couple of heavies in the corner, really nice heavy intercepts there. Up to the special 2, and that once you get to the special 2, that's when the fight is really under control, because you get those breakthroughs lasting at least double the duration now. So as long as you can keep your research topped off by the occasional parry, you can see he's at 75 chemistry research, but the parry will get him to 100. So he's going to parry here before the special 1. In fact, he's not. He's going to just throw the special 1. Because you only want to really parry if you're throwing the special 2, because that will trigger the breakthroughs at 10.5 seconds. When you're throwing the special 1, it'll reset the duration no matter what the duration is. So if you already got the 10.5 second ones, it doesn't matter. But because he's throwing a special 2, he does parry right before, and that will get the 10.5 seconds again, heavy attack to finish. And I think he did actually lose this round, but still a very clean fight against a rank 3 Longshot. Okay, so this is actually a stream clip I did, this was last week I think. This is against rank 3 Hyperion, so this is also with Rich Get Richer. I did actually mess up in this fight, but Doc Ock is one of the best Hyperion counters in the game, because similar to the Mangog and Doc Ock and Havok fights you saw earlier, Hyperion just power locks himself by just trying to gain power. So we throw a couple of heavy attacks in the corner. He stand your ground sort of clipped me there, and he actually clipped me there with an intercept, which sucked. Now we're able to steal a little bit of the health back, I think, because he was running willpower, of course. So we're able to get a tiny bit of health steal here, and we even steal a bit, or get a bit of health as well from the shock debuff, any other debuffs from our chaos. But apart from that little miss up there with the intercept, this fight is really under control. And we heavy attack here. It was definitely an early heavy attack, and I whiffed that one there. So yeah, definitely not the cleanest one. This is probably the first time I've fought a Hyperion with Doc Ock in years. Definitely could have been a lot quicker than what we did, but still not bad. And considering he only threw one special attack, I think was pretty good. Actually, you know what? I think this might be my favorite fight. So this is also a stream clip against a rank 3 Dust. Very, very tanky defender. 20% crit resistance. And if you get force and debuffs on you, which you get if you're playing too erratically, you're kind of screwed. Now, you can see here at the start of the fight, we're actually not even benefiting from Rich Get Richer. You can see we have 1 buff each, but we're still able to get to a special 2. Not super comfortably, but relatively comfortably. And once we get that, obviously all of our breakthroughs are applied now. And this is when the fight is really under control. So yeah, and we can obviously reapply more breakthroughs again with another special 2, and that just means more heavy damage once we get to that situation. Obviously we are benefiting from Rich Get Richer here, so it's probably a bit faster than another meta, but we finish here with a stand-up intercept into a striker into a heavy attack, and this is a rank 3 Dust down in 58 seconds. His damage is not bad. In fact, it is quite good. Alright, so back to the Mystics again. Not in other metas, not necessarily this meta so much, but in other metas, Absorbing Man can be a very annoying defender when it comes to how he interacts with different nodes. But without him throwing special attacks, that's really where a lot of his defensive threat comes from, is his special attacks. So by just completely denying him from any chance of throwing a special attack, we're chilling. So it's the same rotation. We get to the special 2 and we have the fight under control. And if we need, we can just throw special 1s. But if we're able to, might as well just go back to another special 2 and keep applying more breakthroughs, stack up more breakthroughs, and that means more heavy damage. Obviously, with that heal block, he's not going to be able to willpower heal from the shock debuff, so that's a bit of extra damage there. And we got 9 breakthroughs on us. He did actually go unblockable here, but he didn't do too much damage for us because we do have 3 armor up buffs on us. The armor up buffs aren't crazy potent, but they're decent enough, and the heavy attack, of course, finishes there. That Absorbing Man. Alright, yes, now for the highlight of the video, the Bullseye. Bullseye is, of course, a top 3 defender in this game. For a while, he was the best defender in this game. Doc Ock might just be my favorite Bullseye counter, because he can do this. Just completely shut him down. He cannot throw a single special attack against Doc Ock if you play well. He gets really nice stand-up intercepts. The timing is really... It takes a while to learn, but if you can get the timing down, especially on those stand-up intercepts, Doc Ock is an incredible Bullseye counter. It makes it so much easier to fight this guy when he doesn't gain a single bar of power. It's crazy. And this is a rank 2 Bullseye down in about 40 seconds. In fact, I think it was 39 seconds. Yeah, his damage is bad. Alright, Steel, what about a rank 3 Bullseye? Well, here you go. This is against my rank 3 Bullseye, in fact. This is, again, Jia Cheng's fight against my rank 3 Bullseye. And he's going to be using Dr. Octopus because this is his best Bullseye counter right here. Because if you have luck on your side with Archaeos and can get really nice stand-up intercepts, you do alright. And you'll see in this fight, even if Bullseye goes unblockable, which would destroy 99% of the champions in this game, Dr. Octopus doesn't care. Because he can just dance around him with his tentacles. So we get to a special 2 here, and now the fight is under control, because we've got all of our 3 breakthroughs up. They last for 10.5 seconds. He goes unblockable, but Dr. Octopus is like, nope, I'm just going to intercept you and throw a special 1, and now you're no longer unblockable. Oh, wait, you are unblockable. Alright, I'll just throw another special 1. Now, please don't go unblockable again. And there we go, the unblockable has gone away. Just like that. And with no worry about it. And even though we haven't thrown as many special 2s in this fight, this is a rank 3 Bullseye down in about 45 seconds. You still think his damage is bad? Think again. Now, in no way am I saying this is an essential champion for Battlegrounds. He's not, and there's a lot of metas where he won't do as well. In fact, if we look at, we just came out with season 20 information today, I think, and that involves a lot of armor breaks. Now, I talked before about the armor breaks. They actually can shut down Doc Ock's research completely if he has an armor buff on him, so that can sort of hurt Doc Ock. I think he might still work for that meta, but he's not essential. He's definitely not an essential Battlegrounds attacker. He's not a defender at all, but if you can get good with this guy, work out how his rhythm flows, he's a very smooth champion once he gets going. If you're really good at those stand-up intercepts and knowing when to throw the heavy attack and when to throw the special 2s, when to throw the special 1s if necessary, he's a very, very strong champion. His damage is fine. His damage has never been an issue. It's just a lot of people, he hasn't really had much publicity in terms of YouTube and other platforms like Twitter. He's never really been a meta champion because he hasn't really been hyped up that much. Because he's not a sexy champion. Oh, of course he's sexy. I mean, look at him. Look at him. He's so sexy. But in terms of what the wider community thinks, he's not a sexy champion. But I mean, those Battleground scores he was putting up are pretty sexy in my opinion. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me today, guys. Really hope you enjoyed this showcase. I'll include a blooper reel after this so you can see how many times I messed up with this guy in the past few weeks, because it's been quite a few. But yeah, because I'm still getting reused to this guy, even though he's my favorite champion. It's been a while because I only recently ascended him. It's been a while since I've used him as often as I have the last few weeks. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope I inspired at least one of you to rank up your Dr. Octopus. But if I didn't, that's fine as well. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. No! Motherfucker! How'd you hit me?
Bruh.
Neither.
Bruh.
Oh, the crush! Are you kidding me?